This episode of Lobbing Scorchers is sponsored by Full Pull Wines, a Seattle-based seller. Not only are they a local company, but they've been supporting independent Seattle soccer media since 2011 and are run by Sounders fans. They offer the best boutique wines in the world to members of their mailing list, with special focus on their home, the Pacific Northwest. Their model is simple. 1, they email compelling offers. 2, you request bottles that sound appealing. 3, your wine arrives at their Soto warehouse and is ready for pickup or shipping. Their Soto tasting room is also open to the public. If you're interested in joining their mailing list or learning more about them, visit fullpullwines.com. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 49 of Lobbing Scorchers. This is Ari Lillianwall. I got producer Noah here with me. And Noah, another week, another dub pod. This is becoming commonplace for us. How are you feeling?
Oh, Ari, man. It's hot and warm in Seattle. We are enjoying this beautiful sun. And even better, a 4-game win streak, Ari. Last time that happened, 2020.
4-game home win streak. That's correct. 3-game win streak overall in MLS play. And yeah, that's right, folks. It's another dub pod. The Seattle Sounders beat the New England Revolution 2-0 at Lumen Field on Saturday. Jordan Morris scored another goal. Albert Rusnak scored another goal. And the Sounders are suddenly one of the hottest teams in the league. They're now 8-7-7 overall with 31 points, up to 6th in the Western Conference. So we're gonna break it all down as we always do, and I think it's going to be a good dub pod. There's a lot of good stuff to talk about from this game. I'm excited to talk about it. So we're going to dive into that. We're going to hit some around the league stuff at the end of the show. We're going to do a little preview of Seattle's Open Cup game coming up. We got winners and losers. So it's a packed, we got agenda check. It's a packed show today. We might go a little long on this one. We'll try and be as efficient as we can, but there's a lot to get to. I'm excited though. But before we get into all that, some brief housekeeping at the top of the show. First of all, Lobbing Scorchers is a part of the Sounder at Heart podcast network. If you want to get the best independent Seattle soccer coverage, consider supporting us by going to sounderatheart.com/LS. That's sounderatheart.com/LS. Scroll down to subscribe and support to get 30 days completely free. Every sign up through our link helps support and grow this show. As always, I'd like to thank all of our paid subs, those of you who have migrated from our Buzzsprout platform over to Sounder at Heart. We appreciate each and every one of you. And you know what, Noah? I'm going to go back to doing the thing where I read the list.
Let's go.
Because that's how much we love and appreciate our subscribers. I'd like to thank Kenneth Wade, Joey Pasquinelli, David McCoy, Owen Mason, Dan Pavato, Samuel Fout, Ian Mitchell, Christopher Smith, Norm Bonnier, Thomas Martin, Greg Hoker, Chris Maley, Andy Hill, Mike Lentini, Nate Bonnier, David Rodriguez, and my nephews, CJ and Miles Marinakis. Thank you all so much. We really appreciate the support. And if you'd like to join the ranks of our faithful supporters, go to sounderatheart.com/LS, sub to Sounder at Heart. That's the best way to help and support the show. Also, if you're listening to this and you haven't done so yet, subscribe to the Lobbing Scorchers YouTube. We're kind of popping on there, Noah. We're up to 223 or something subscribers on there, and all our little video clips and stuff they're doing. We had one about the U.S. men's national team, which is unfortunate that this is the one that popped, but we had one that popped for almost like 1,000 views, which for our YouTube, that's hot.
That's hot.
So thank you to everyone who's been driving our engagement on there, and an easy way to support us as well is to go just click that subscribe button, help grow our presence on that platform. All right, that's enough of that, Noah. Let's get into this Sounders game because this was a good one this week. Another dub. Let's talk about our lineup reaction off the top for this fixture with the New England Revolution at Lumen Field. You had Nuhu back in the starting 11 after he was famously suspended following the FC Dallas game. You had Christian Roldan at right back Roldan back in the action. Right back Christian Roldan, I guess. You have to clarify that now.
Yeah.
Right back Christian Roldan was back in action. We'll talk about that later as well in the agenda check. You had a Paul Rothrock start, which that's always very exciting for us here at this show. Paul Rothrock was opposite Leo Chu. And you still had Rui Diaz coming off the bench, which I think is what we've come to expect these days. Jordan Morris was starting at the 9. But no real surprises there. I guess the big surprise is that they kept riding right back Christian Roldan. You know, Alex is healthy now. He has been the starting right back on this team for the last few years. But I think just with where they're at right now, the right back Christian Roldan thing is it seems like Schmidt. I think Schmidt said something after the game that he was kind of riding the hot hand there, going with what worked.
Correct.
That's something that he tends to do, and so I think you might see right back Christian Roldan more moving forward. Seattle started off on the front foot in this game, and they got the opener on 15 minutes. It was that Jordan Morris, Albert Rusnak connection again. The sequence on that goal started when Jackson Reagan made a clearance all the way at the other end of the field. And the story of Leo Chu in this game was a dramatic and harrowing one, but he actually did make it ended negatively, I would say.
Correct.
It's fair to say. But he did actually make a nice play on this sequence to win the ball. He won the header that got to Jordan. Then Jordan and Rusnak had a little combination play, and Rusnak hit an unbelievable dime on this play. That's a world-class assist. He and Jordan, we're going to talk about it, but their connection right now of Rusnak seeing those runs, Jordan making those runs, and then Rusnak hitting those dimes. That was a great dime. Just the angle on that one.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's so satisfying to watch when a guy hits one that perfectly from a tough angle, and just the vision to see that pass, and then also the technical ability to hit it. Just very, very good. And vintage Jordan run on that play, and great finish too. Those we've seen him score goals like that a fair amount in his MLS career, but that's not as easy as he makes it look. To be able to hit that shot with that power and that accuracy while basically on a dead sprint.
Yeah.
That's not easy. And he cashed that. He mossed poor Dave Romney. The story of Dave Romney in this game was also a pretty tragic one. I believe he was also pretty much at fault on the second goal that the Revs conceded, which we'll talk about. So Seattle gets the opener in the first 15 minutes, which, when you're the home team, I think that is your first task that you need to accomplish is, taking control of the game in that time period, and then ideally getting the first goal. And so they passed that test. They were able to do that. And they haven't really been able to do that all that frequently in their home games this year, which is why they've dropped a lot of home points. They have 5 home draws this year. So it was good to see them get that early goal. Credit to the Revs, though. The Revs, I would say, took pretty clean control of the game after that for the rest of the first half. They really they dominated play for lengthy portions of that. Seattle were the ones absorbing pressure basically I would say for most of the time period after Seattle scored the goal. Yeah. The Revs felt like they were in control, and they almost equalized a couple times. One time in particular where Stephen Fry made a huge double save. Veroni had the first shot that he made the reaction save on it. The rebound spilled to their 18-year-old homegrown prodigy who had another shot. And Stephen Fry was on the ground for that rebound shot, and he got his leg out and managed to make a kick save from the ground.
Yeah,
that was a huge play in this game. That very much could have been the equalizing goal right there. And Stephen Fry came through with a game-changing double save. And Seattle did manage to make it to half at 1-0. So that's it gets to a certain point where in the first half, if you haven't scored that second goal to extend your lead, I think the mission just becomes get to halftime with it still at 1-0. They managed to do that with the help of some good goalkeeping. So that was test number 2 passed in this game. Let's get into the Leo Chu drama. I think that's about where we're at as we recap this story. Leo Chu was subbed out at the half, replaced by RBW. And, I don't know how you reacted in the moment to that. I thought he might have been injured, but it did feel like kind of like a performance coach's decision kind of sub. Leo Chu's not been in super great form or anything, and then I think there's kind of if you listen to Schmetz's post-game press conference, there's definitely he alluded to not being pleased with his effort. Really, the quote was something to the effect of, guys who want to play hard for the home fans are the ones that are going to be on the field. Which the implication is that Leo Chu was not playing hard for the home fans, and thus he was taken off the field. So we're going to get to that when I get to my takeaways from the game, but that was a little dramatic wrinkle on the other side of halftime. No Leo Chu in the second half. The second half was much better from Seattle, but they couldn't get the second goal until the 81st minute, so towards the end of the game. But they finally got rewarded for some of the chances they were generating. In the 81st minute, it was Obed Vargas, another assist for him, wins a header that he puts right to Rusnak in a bunch of space, and then another really good finish from Rusnak from outside the area. I enjoy watching him shoot. Like, do you notice this? Like, when he shoots, he has this he really puts his full body into it. He has this exaggerated motion.
It's like a power up.
Yeah, he but it's like I don't know. It's a good athletic move when he really gets into the shot.
The follow through.
Exactly. That's the word I'm looking for. But he cashed that shot 2-0 at that point. It's done and dusted. That's another dub. Seattle moves to 8-7-7. And if you look at the West table right now, I mean, a top 4 seed is very much attainable. There's not that much. The Rapids won last night, so they're up to 37 points. They're in 4th. Then you got Portland at 33. They also won big last night. Vancouver at 32. Seattle at 31. So, okay, I was saying 6th. They moved into 6th after the game, but with the rest of the results last night, now they're in 7th. But they are right in the mix for a top 4 spot. Top 3 spot, you got LAFC, Salt Lake, and LA that are all 12 points ahead of Seattle's pace. So that might be a little ambitious in terms of getting into that territory, but they're within striking distance for a top 4 spot for 4th place. I'm going to lay down my takeaways on this game really quick. The first one, Albert Rusnak is arguably the hottest player in the league right now. I mean, if you just look at the output that he's had over the last 4 to 5 weeks, 4 goals, 6 assists in his last 11 games. And then in this 5-match unbeaten run that Seattle's on right now, of which they've won 4, 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 goal contributions in 5 games. I mean, that is ballistic form. That is not just a heater. That is he's the hottest player in the league. There's a couple guys that you could throw in there. Lucho Acosta is very hot right now. Diego Luna has been pretty hot. He had 4 goal contributions in Real Salt Lake's game. So there's some guys that are on heaters right now. But Rusnak's heater that he's on is on par or exceeding the best of them. That's how well he's playing right now. That's how much he's producing. Jordan Morris is one of the only other players in MLS that's as hot as Rusnak as well. If you were going to list down all the heaters that are going on across MLS right now, Jordan's would be right up there. 7 goals in his last 9 games, 7 of the 8 that he's scored this season. So he's been eating. He's got the city on his back. That was a classic Jordan Morris goal in this game. And really, he's been getting these classic Jordan Morris goals. I think that's probably the most important takeaway, is that these are bread and butter type goals it just seems like in general, the offense right now looks, it feels a lot more sustainable and repeatable, the type of offense that they're playing. You know, back when they took a couple of results and they had a couple games where they scored multiple goals, but it was just Rui Diaz bombing Hail Marys. Mm-hmm. It never really felt like they were going to be able to sustain that. The type of ball they're playing right now, to me, feels a lot more sustainable. It feels like it's a lot more bread and butter type sequences, which that's what you want to see, because that's how you can rightfully hope and expect that they'll be able to sustain it moving forward. The The Leo Chu era might be over. I mean, I'm not exactly sure what led to this, but it felt like something that had been festering for a while, potentially, that sort of boiled over, and Schmetz was finally like, all right, I'm going to pull you off the field. Like, I don't remember watching him in the first half and thinking that his effort seemed off or subpar, but to be fair, I wasn't like looking for that. So I'm not saying that. I mean, if Schmetz saw that, like, there's probably some loafing it going on out there. And, there's just been all these reports that he's been linked to these transfers to Brazil. He's pretty outwardly expressed that he wants to go back to Brazil at some point. He was interviewed recently, if I'm remembering correctly, and he did say something to the effect of like, that's something I could be interested in at some point, but I'm focused on Seattle right now. So that's the correct answer to give. But like, there's been a couple other instances where he's been subbed off and been outwardly unhappy about it, and now he gets subbed off in this game for ostensibly a lack of effort. I don't know. I feel like we might see a report in the coming days that he's off to Brazil, although, maybe it's something that they can smooth over. They could honestly, like, for this Open Cup game, this wouldn't have been a bad place to start him, but if he's not in good standing, I mean, I don't know. It's a storyline to track. I do think it's worth noting as well, the Revs were incredibly depleted for this game. They were on short rest. They have an entire laundry list of injuries right now. And then Dylan Barrero, their talented homegrown, who was going to be one of their main guys leading their attack in this game. They lost him in pregame warmups. They had to start like a random 20-year-old. Caleb Porter was all too happy to talk about that after the game. Did you see his presser?
I didn't see the salty press.
So it was a little salty. He wasn't doing the classic Caleb Porter move, which is when one of his teams loses, to talk about how his team was the drastically superior team and might be the greatest team of all time, but just like got unlucky on the day. But what he was talking about was, where we were so depleted coming into this game, and he kept talking about how Seattle subbed on De La Vega and Rui Diaz. So he's like,
oh yeah, the $10 million players.
You've got these $10 million players, which I don't know if either of them are quite $10 million players, but that's neither here nor there. His point was that Seattle was subbing on these big time players, but what I thought was funny about it was it came off honestly like he was backhandedly sandbagging his own players. He he dismissively and kind of derisively said, they're subbing on $10 million players. We're subbing on a Revs 2 player. Like, subbing on a Revs 2 player is like the biggest joke that he could think of. And it's like, dude, that's your player.
Yeah,
like,
that's
I don't
your
know.
guy.
Like, I get what you're saying, but I don't know if you should be saying it in those start. Like, that Revs 2 player, he's got feelings. He's probably going to hear that. I wouldn't really feel that good if I was the Revs 2 player. Also, the kid is like, I mean, they had like 3 19-year-olds out there. So, I don't know. It's kind of funny. I always recommend a Caleb Porter L presser because you're usually going to get some good content like that. But I did want to point out, not to discount Seattle's dub, because when you're playing an overmatched and undermanned opponent, you got to take care of business. Seattle did exactly that. But I do think I thought the Revs actually, given those circumstances, I thought they actually hung with it. Like, they were pretty close to tying it in the first half, and they stayed in the game. They could have had a couple goals. I will say Seattle could have had a couple more goals as well. They could have had at least 3, maybe 4 goals in this game. The one that comes to mind is, Rusnak almost had another assist. He had a really, really good corner kick that Yamar won the header on, and Ivicic just made an insane save. Like, that's a goal, a heavy percentage of the time. But great delivery on the set piece. God, Rusnak's set pieces and just his delivery into the box in general right now, it's just lights out. He hit that one on an absolute dime. It's honestly unfortunate he didn't get an assist for that corner kick. And there was at least one more big chance, I think, that Seattle could have had, but credit to the Revs for staying into the in that game to the extent that they did, because I will admit their roster was a little bit, it got pretty comedic just with where they were at personnel wise. So those were my takeaways. Noah, did you have anything on this game before we get into the agenda check?
Yeah, I wanted to bang on that Rusnak drum again because, I said it last week that he might be the hottest player. I don't know if I said hottest player, but he might be in the best form in the league right now, and it just continues. I don't know if he'll make team of the week this week.
Oh, he will. He will.
Okay. We confirmed, but that's 3 MLS team of the week in a row. His connection with Jordan is elite. I have not seen 2 Sounders players have a connection like that in a long time.
It's a little Dempsey Oba vibes, isn't it? Yeah.
Like I'm very impressed, and I'm also very impressed with Jordan. That effort that he made to get off that pass to Albert and then trust that Albert was going to find him. It was an amazing pass from Albert, but what a finish from Jordan too. He completely bodied that defender too. Like, one of the things that I don't like about Jordan sometimes is how many touches he takes before he tees one up, which is like that's just who he is. That's just how he shoots. I'm never gonna complain when he's scoring goals, but he did his classic thing. He's like, nah, I need one more touch. Bodies the dude off, gives him enough space, and then just rockets that into the top of the net. It was that sequence was incredible. The movement was incredible. Leo Chu winning the header and then pulling off, or at least putting a little bit of confusion into the defender by making that run up the left side to open up space and drawing the eyes out too. Like, those are the flashes that we want to see from him. That clearly, the effort might be there, but it's not enough to keep him. So with the Leo Chu situation, I thought this was probably a pretty good game for him, but I don't think that it was like an amazing game or, a 4-assist game like he's had in the past. And that was another thing that Brian said was, I know his standard is what he set last year. And if he's not going to be up to his standard, then, that's on him.
Schmetz saw something that really, like, I don't know. I feel like you don't usually see him make a rage sub like that.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's kind of out of character. So whatever he saw, he definitely didn't like it. Yeah, couple things on the stuff that you just mentioned. I mean, number one, I do have to take an L on a take that I had given what's been going on the last few weeks, which is that, I argued as recently as probably 6 weeks ago when we were debating who should be the starting number 9 for this team. I was saying that it should still be Rui Diaz because I felt so, and my logic, I think, was defensible, which was that when you have a situation where neither one of them are producing, you might as well just go with the one who has more of a propensity for pulling goals out of nowhere than the one who does not have that attribute to the same extent. So that's how I was thinking of it. But to be fair, I think I did also say something to the effect of, if all Jordan has to do to change my mind and win the job is start scoring goals. That's exactly what he's doing, and he's won the job right now. I don't think there's any question that he's going to be starting up top for this team week in, week out, like in a scenario where they can field their first choice 11. But, I always try to be upfront about admitting when I'm wrong. And I was wrong about that. The play was definitely to start Jordan, and it's paying off right now. And the connection that they have right now, it's a dynamic duo. The numbers they're putting up are, I read them off earlier. They're pretty incredible, and we're gonna see if they can sustain it. And I think the biggest thing to keep an eye on is if Rusnak can sustain. I don't think he's going to stay this hot.
Yeah.
But if he keeps producing at even 70 to 75% of this clip, we're going to have the discussion about whether he should be brought back as a DP. But I'm just telling you, if he keeps producing like this, it would be foolish to not bring him back as a DP. Because the thing is, if he ends up at something like 7 to 9 goals and 15 to 20 assists, you can go try and find another DP number 10, but all you're doing is looking for someone who can give you output like that.
Yeah.
Right? So if you already have it and you already have a guy who has been in the team, has the chemistry with everyone, and has been putting up crooked stats and leading an offense that's been productive, you should keep rolling with that. So he does have to sustain production like this. If this is just a flash in the pan and it goes back to this offense goes back to being like pulling teeth again, then we're gonna have the discussion the other direction. But like, I mean, if he keeps producing like this, I think that debate's honestly going to be a pretty easy one, which is, I mean, like I said, man, that's funny because I think as recently as a month ago, it was just conventional wisdom that he was not producing like a DP player and that he might not be that quality of a player. And he's proven that wrong right now. He is. He's the hottest player in the league. Let's get into this agenda check. Or actually, okay, I had one more. I had one more check.
Hit one more.
I had one more.
Don't tease him.
We had listener Dan was asking about like what's different with Rusnak last week, and we talked about it a little bit. And you know, I was kind of just chalking it up to a talented player sort of coming into his own. But you know, I wanted to kind of pontificate on what the reasons behind that might be a little bit more. And I think what you're seeing is a guy who has gotten consistent run in his preferred primary position, which if you look at the first 2 years that Rusnak was on this team, he was playing out of position for most of it. Nico was the primary number 10 for that whole time, and he took a back seat to that. He played a deeper lying midfield role, and he played it quite effectively. He helped him win Champions League playing that role, but it's not his primary role. So I think you are seeing him getting comfortable and acclimated in his primary position. And then also sometimes it takes time to develop chemistry. You know, we always want a new player to come in and hit the ground running and instantly have that connection with his teammates. That's not always quite how it works. I think that chemistry, that understanding between Rusnak and everyone else in the attack has gotten to a point where they're able to play off each other a lot better. They know each other's tendencies a lot more. And specifically just his connection with Jordan right now. I mean, like you said, like the runs that Jordan's making, the timing of them, and then the quality of the passes is just it's top notch right now. And I think that's another one of my takeaways is it's just like it's been fun to watch again over this last month. You know, like this feels like the teams that we've watched in past years. This feels like the team that we expected to be watching going into this year. So that's nice to see as well. But yeah, I mean, all like the national pundits are not taking serious note of Rusnak and really the team as a whole quite yet. And in fact, on MLS Rap last night, Bradley Wright Phillips was still arguing that he thinks that Seattle is fraudulent. I didn't really understand his logic.
Well, he's an idiot. I'm going to be honest. He has some of the worst analysis.
I like some of BWP's takes, and I think he has credibility to dish takes because he was a very good player for a long time. Mm-hmm. But I did not understand his Seattle takes because, I mean, he's basically saying, you know, they haven't been consistent this season, therefore that's why I'm writing them off.
But has he never heard of 2016?
Well, yeah, exactly. And then also, I mean, we're talking about like a month run of form now. It's not just I would understand that if it was just one game, sure. But like it's not a huge sample size, but it is a sample size.
And now the team is fully healthy.
But yeah, and that's another good point. And Kalen Carr brought up, you know, the De La Vega thing, and BWP was unmoved. But the point is, the national pundits have not come around yet. Rusnak is not being talked about, you know, in the same vein as some of the other like big stars in the league who are on their heaters right now, which I wouldn't necessarily expect him to until he does it for a few more weeks here. But like, I'm just telling you, the way he's producing right now, like it's a Lucho Acosta, Haney Mukhtar-esque type run. Like when those guys get on their heaters, where they end up like getting individual accolades and getting talked about in like MVP type stuff. This is the type of run that they go on. I mean, eight goal contributions in 5 games. If Lucho or Haney Mukhtar did that, people would be like, yeah, that's what they do because they're MVP type players. So I'm not saying like Rusnak's necessarily going to be in the MVP mix, but if he stays this hot, like that, honestly, if he stays this hot, like he will be in that conversation.
Yeah, as he should. He's been so good, and you know, it's honestly, it's kind of fine that no one's talking about him.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
Like, you know, I think that's a very classic Seattle Sounders moment to not really get the love and attention, but like still be producing no matter what. So sorry, BWP, you're a great player, though. I did love watching him in the league, but
he was nasty for the Red
takes.
Bulls. Let's get into this agenda check. We have, I believe, 6 written down here, so we'll dive into this. Starting with the Rusnak is terrible agenda, which, you know, we haven't really heard that much from the purveyors of that agenda in recent weeks. But I mean, I'm just ready to say it. Like, it's diminished to the point of being entirely dead. He has 14 goal contributions on the year, including 8 in the last 5 games, which Seattle has won 4. He's up to double-digit assists. He's playing out of his mind right now.
Yeah.
So I understand why people were frustrated with it earlier in the year. I think we shared some of those frustrations. We talked quite openly about how we were unsure at best regarding his DP status on the roster, and that, you know, he was arguably more of a TAM player. But, you know, any player can always prove any take like that wrong by producing. And that's what he's doing right now. And he looks every bit like a DP number 10. The Jordan Morris at the 9 agenda, we already talked about that, but strengthened another really good goal in this game. He's got the city on his back. 7 goals in his last 9 games. You got the hottest number 10 and the hottest number 9, both playing for the same team, your Seattle Sounders.
I don't know if they're both the hottest in the league, but they're...
I mean, I'm just saying statistically, like I'll go back through it a little bit more today. But I don't think you're going to be able to find a number 10 that has 8 goal contributions in the last 5 games, nor are you going to be able to find a number 9 that has 7 goals in his last 9 games. Like, I'm just talking output right now. I'm not talking
That's
about
fair,
like
actually.
eye test. And like, honestly, it doesn't really matter like whether they're technically the hottest. They are certainly among the hottest, which I think is the important takeaway here. Paul Rothrock, I think we got this far into the show, Noah, and we have not talked about. I guess we did talk about him a little bit.
We noted it,
but usually
he's just a staple.
Usually
now,
we
Ari.
do 10 to 15 minutes on Paul Rothrock per section of the show. So this is our first really in-depth look at the story of Paul Rothrock in this game. I mean, my take on the agenda is I put not skyrocketed, but strong as ever. I thought it was good to see him start the game, first of all. And I thought his presence and energy again was good, even though he didn't bring the score sheet. And, you know, I was thinking about, so remember the play pretty early in the game where, so Yamar won the ball back and he one-timed it to Rothrock, and when Rothrock made a solo run to the top of the area and he took a shot, deflected off the defender, and it ended up going to the goalkeeper, and it wasn't particularly close to being a goal. But like, I remember thinking, like, after that play, like, that's like, I appreciate that he just like tries stuff like that. I think a lot of what's happened with Seattle's attack this year, like when it was struggling, is that I think guys were in their own head a little bit, and it felt very tentative, and guys were like afraid to take chances. And Rothrock doesn't give a fuck, dude. Like,
No.
he just goes out there and like
he plays every game like it's his last.
Exactly, and I love that about him. You know, like it's a little there's like shades of Dempsey was like that, man. Like he played every game like it was his last, and would just like. He would just try stuff in the moment, and sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. But I don't know. I appreciate the innovative nature to try, even like when it's not necessarily the most high percent. Like, you know, that shot that he took, it's like, sure, you know, sometimes you take that shot and it's a deflection and it might go in, you know. So I don't know. That was my Paul Rothrock takeaway for the week. He didn't find the stat sheet. The agenda didn't skyrocket, but I think as it stands right now with De La Vega still getting fit, like I saw nothing that dissuaded me from my belief that he should be starting right now.
Yeah, I think also if he played more minutes, obviously they had to sub him off because they have to keep him ready for the Open Cup where he's going to score 45 goals on Wednesday. But yeah, I mean, who would you rather have out there, Paul Rothrock or Leo Chu? Because I feel like when you play Leo Chu with the ball, he's very one-dimensional. And when you get the ball to Paul Rothrock, like he'll try shit. He'll do shit that's not going to be run it up the wing, up to the byline, to the end line, and look for a cross. He'll do that, or he'll just start sprinting straight towards the goalkeeper and rip off a shot, you know?
Yeah. And he makes goal dangerous runs too.
Yeah.
So like that if you look at the goals that he's been scoring this season, they're mostly just he's charging towards the goal and getting right on the doorstep and getting like a tap in finish. And then he had the one goal in Houston where he really made that one happen. Remember, he like clipped it over the guy, hit it off the goalkeeper, and then scored the rebound. But yeah, I mean, the agenda is strong as ever. It lives. Obed Vargas strengthened. Another assist. That assist that's a good play. That's a heads up play. He puts himself in good position there, and then also to spot the header, hit it accurately, like put it right in the spot. Rusnak had a ton of space, but it's still a nice play by Obed to put himself in position to win the ball, find the pass, and it leads to a goal. 5 assists, so he's got 6 goal contributions now this year, which I think, again, that's the most exciting thing for me with Obed is that stat sheet production. That's what I've been waiting to see from this group of homegrowns, and he's really, I mean, like if you consider that he's played most of his time this year as a defensive midfielder, and then, you know, briefly there was the period where he was playing right mid, which, remember, we were really excited about that. I thought that looked really good at times. But 6 goal contributions at this point in the season from a guy who's primarily been playing in your defensive midfield, that's great. You know, like if JP was at 1 goal, 5 assists at this point in the season, I think we would be thrilled with that. So the fact that Obed is giving you that production, along with all the other stuff that he does, like he was the one who we haven't even talked about the Javier Arriaga revenge game, but he drew a yellow on Javi. Shout out to Javi. That could have been a red.
Should have been.
It honestly, like, look,
it should have been a red.
I'm not gonna get like pressed about that, but definitely could have been a red, which I thought was honestly an appropriate Javier Arriaga like reunion event.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, he makes his return to Lumen Field, triumphant return, and immediately in the first half almost gets sent off. To be fair, I thought he actually had a pretty good game.
He's been playing really good for them.
Well, yeah, and like I was thinking about this too, like one of the reasons, so like the Revs going into this game, they had gotten boat raced by the Crew recently, but other than that, they had won 4 straight at one point. I think they won 5 of 6 or something. They've been playing a lot better after a historically bad start. And I honestly think, like, if you ask Caleb Porter this, he would probably tell you a big reason they've been playing better is the stability that Javi has brought them at the CB spot. They were just, with injuries and everything, they were severely lacking bodies at that spot. And he's come in there and just been a solid starting MLS CB for them. And it's helped them quite a bit. And I think you kind of saw why in this game. Like he did almost kill Obed, but he played pretty well. But anyway, that play by Obed, he was making stuff. He forced Javi into a bad foul. He had the assist. The kid is just good, man. He's just like, I get excited to watch him play every week because it seems like every week he gets a little better, a little more confident. He's impacting games. It is a full on breakout season when you think about the impact that he's having on these games, combined with the actual stat sheet production that he's now providing.
Yeah, it's gonna suck to see him leave. Like I want him to be on this team forever. Genuinely, like he is a talented player. I mean, I'm gonna root for him wherever he goes. Genuinely, and especially with the news that Monterrey made a bid for him. I think that it was reported that it was like $3 million.
You got to get a bigger bag than that.
Which like they're not going to sell him for that. So
$10 million, or I'm hanging up the phone.
Damn right. Give us that bag.
The Stephen Fry is washed. Andy T should start agenda diminished.
Yeah.
This was Stephen Fry's best game of the season
easily.
That double save, so that's where it, like, I understand, and I think Stephen Fry himself would tell you that there's been too many goals this year that he let in that should have been saved. But like that double save that he makes, I don't know if Andy T makes that. Like maybe he does, and it's not to take away from anything from Andy T. We're a pro Andy T podcast. Andy T has played like an MLS number one this year, but
that's a veteran move.
That's a veteran move. We've seen Stephen Fry do that so many times over the years. For me, there's just pretty much no one that, even with the bad goal concessions that there's been this year, just based on track record, there's no one that I really trust more in an individual game or in a big game situation or in a big moment. Like, we've just seen him do it so many times. And it wasn't even just the double save, honestly. Like, without Stephen Fry, like, this easily could have been a draw, at least, but he made the double save, and then there was at least one or two more really good reaction saves. So I think the Stephen Fry is washed stuff. It's not looking like a very powerful agenda this week.
I was a purveyor. I was a starter.
You were a purveyor.
And I gotta write my apologies to Stephen 40-year-old Fry, because he could start for another 5 seasons potentially. I think at this point,
might play into his 50s.
Let him.
No, you had one on Raul. What did you want to cook on there?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I know after both Nuhu and Raul got suspended, obviously coming back, Nuhu starting his first game back. I'm correct on that, right? I'm not imagining that. Yeah, his first start back, he played pretty good. I thought he played pretty good.
Defense got a clean sheet.
Yeah, and there was clearly, an attitude shift, and Raul coming off the bench and looking way better than he has in a while. Obviously, he didn't score, so that's not like that's all you're looking for from him. But in the limited minutes that he played, he looked way more energized than if he would be starting.
Yeah, it's not what you want in terms of resource allocation to be having your big time DP number 9 as a super sub. It is a pretty nasty super sub to have. And I think there was something to Caleb Porter's point with that, which is that De La Vega and Rui Diaz coming off the bench. I mean, that's potent.
Yeah.
That's potent. It's kind of a demonstration of the type of depth that we thought and hoped this team had going into the year. Every time you go into the year, you're always thinking of it like, man, if everyone stays healthy, like who do you even start? Like you're going to be able to rotate it so that and you have this guy coming off the bench, and then it's always like injuries and poor form just blow up whatever your expectations were. But with the team getting a little healthier, we're actually kind of seeing what it's like when they have their full depth at their disposal, and it's been pretty nice.
Yeah. So I mean, my agenda, I guess, in general, is just that Raul super sub. It went up. Yeah,
I would agree with that. Maybe not skyrocketed, but strengthened.
It's there. Raul's value is going up, I would say, at that position. Not for the price, but whatever.
Let's get into questions. We have a bunch submitted by you, the people. Thank you to everyone, as always, who submits and gets the discourse flowing. We don't get to all of them, but we'll get to as many as we can.
We've got this first one here from Kenny. Kenny asks, Yeimar was once again immense. When will he get his flowers? Seems like national punditry rates him higher than our own media at times.
That's an interesting point. I think he is rated higher by the national pundit class than he is sometimes in Seattle. I think this year, both the CBs have, there's been rocky form at times back there. There's been some ill-timed concessions, and I think there's been moments where both of them have had their part in that. But it's a good shout. This was a very good Yeimar game. I thought both CBs were solid in this game, but Yeimar was lights out, and it was a bummer that he didn't get a goal on that corner kick, because that was a great header. That an incredible save by Ivicic.
This one comes from Ken. Ken asks, just like last week, I was a little concerned about how we didn't dominate a less than worthy opponent. Ari, do you agree with that?
I give more credit to the Revs for that. Like, I thought they acquitted themselves well. They played well, but I thought overall it was honestly a pretty comfortable victory. A 2-0 where you get the clean sheet and probably could have had a couple more goals. It wasn't like a super dominant blowout, but it was a pretty comfortable victory, which I think at this point that's all you want out of your home games is a comfortable 3-point result, because you've had a lot of drop points at home this year. You've tied 5 games. A couple of them were 0-0s against drastically inferior opponents. So a result like this is at least a market improvement over that.
This one comes from Soundaboy. JMO used to be known for being a fast player. I think he's still fast, but is it fair to say his strength is now his more important quality? On his goal, he made a defender look like a little kid.
He did, and then I was also thinking about on that play, like how there has been a lot of talk about how his pace isn't what it used to be. I don't know if it's exactly what it used to be. Looked pretty good on that play.
Looks pretty good
to
me.
I don't know. I think the speed is still there, probably more than people lend credence to. But you are right. Like the strength and power on that play. Romney, God bless him, he did not have a chance on that play. He got mossed.
Yeah, I think he's still fast, but I think he's probably the strongest he's ever been. He's been eating the haters for breakfast. I think like that's yeah. This one comes from El Sirio. That ref saved New England from going 4-0. What do you think about that? I feel like that's not true, but that's just me.
Was the ref like super terrible in this game?
I think there was a shout for a penalty on Rothrock, and then maybe should have been a red card on Javi. But
yeah, I thought the Javi play was borderline. Like it could have been a red, but I'm not outraged that it was a yellow, I guess.
Yeah, same. This one comes from Ian. Can I be happy now?
Yeah, go for it, man. I mean, honestly, like it's been a tough season at times. It's been dragging at times. We've watched a lot of games where the offense is like pulling teeth. They're not scoring goals. So now that they've scored multiple goals, I think in like 5 straight games or something like that. Which, remember how much earlier this season we were complaining about how they couldn't score multiple goals? Now they're doing it just as a commonplace occurrence. The offense looks great. Rusnak and Morris is the hottest 1-2 combination in the league over the last 4 to 5 games. Enjoy it, man. Enjoy the uptick in form. Enjoy being right back in the middle of the playoff mix. I think the rest of the season has the potential to be pretty fun here. If they keep playing like this on offense and keep stacking results and move up the table, we're going to be talking about the discussion will change into if they're a real trophy contender, and they've got Open Cup coming up, which we're going to talk about. So they could be playing for a trophy really soon in that tournament as well.
Last one here comes from Daniel. Is Rusnak, quote, parentheses, all of a sudden the most important player on the field, parentheses, back next year, or do they see De La Vega as a cam? Morris up top, PDLV left, a goal dangerous right, and Russ at cam could be a dangerous front 4.
It's a good question, and I want to see De La Vega get some consistent run with Rusnak and Morris, with De La Vega playing out wide, and just see how that works. But my thought on it right now, I mean, I mentioned this, I talked about it earlier, but I think if Rusnak keeps playing like this and producing like this, and you keep stacking good results, and we'll see what happens in a theoretical playoff run. But I think if he keeps producing like this, I think you bring him back. I honestly do. Like, I know that the purveyors of the anti-Rusnak agenda might still not want to hear that, but based on what I've seen over the last month, if it sustains itself anywhere near this degree, I don't see why you wouldn't bring him back. Because like I said, all you're doing, if you don't, is looking for a replacement that provides exactly what he was doing. So what's the point of that?
Thank you all for your questions.
Yeah, thank you, as always, to everyone who submits. You can always blow up my mentions with any takes or questions that you have, and we appreciate you all getting the discourse flowing. Let's get into some news items here before we hit the around the league and winners and losers section. Josh,
don't forget the preview.
And we're going to talk Open Cup preview. Yeah. Josh Atencio officially named as one of 4 alternates to the U.S. Olympic team, so he'll travel to Paris after Tuesday's Open Cup game. So I guess when you're an alternate, you're not like in the game day squads, but it's like if there's an injury, you're there training and you're ready to fill in. So that's cool for Josh Atencio. The big story around that right now, which we don't really need to get super into, but Diego Luna of Real Salt Lake got snubbed for that squad, which I think is really dumb.
Yeah.
And then he went out and had 1 goal, 3 assists.
He was like, fuck you guys.
But it's honestly, he's having he has 12 assists this year.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Also, Jordan was asked to be
one of a senior.
But they couldn't agree on a timeline, and he cares way more apparently about the club form than going to the Olympics, which I respect. He's been to the World Cup. Who cares?
Yeah, I wouldn't really if he was still in the age bracket, but I don't know. About being one of the senior guys.
Yeah,
it doesn't surprise me that he didn't take them up on that.
Yeah, the Olympics is for people who want to go to Europe or people who want to go to other countries and they can get scouted, and I don't think Jordan has any intentions of doing that now.
They asked Diego Luna to be an alternate. He said no. Good for him.
Good for him, man.
Let's hit this Sac Republic Open Cup preview because that game is coming up tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we definitely should talk about that. I think the lens I wanted to talk about it through was what lineup they should field, because I think this is a situation where you're deep enough in the tournament where you're definitely going to field a lineup with the full intent of winning this game, but you also did just play. So it's going to be a short turnaround. So I think some rotation is inevitable just from a physical standpoint. But I think my main thoughts on how they should approach this is I think it's a perfect opportunity to start Rui Diaz. I do.
Yeah.
I think you should start him up top. I mean, I don't know if Jordan feels like physically good to go on that short of turnaround, then I mean, you can also do that. But I just think with Rui Diaz not getting as much run lately and being on short rest, I guess against the USL squad too, like Rui Diaz against USL defenders that however washed or not washed you think he might be, like I think he could still eat against the USL back line. And it's not like this Sac Republic team is a solid USL team, but they're not like hyper elite or anything.
They're not New Mexico United.
They're not New Mexico United. So I would start Rui Diaz. I would start Paul Rothrock because he's an Open Cup god.
Yep.
You know, I know he's on short rest after having played, but he subbed out of this Revs game, right? Decently early.
Yeah.
So
60th.
he should be good to go. I would start Paul Rothrock. I would start, I think this could be a good John Bell game.
Yeah. He'll be back from, or he's back from Copa.
And then Atencio is not leaving until after this game. So I might do the Atencio Leyva double pivot, save Obed and JP. And Danny Leyva has been in really good form for Tacoma Defiance. He's hitting some of the nastiest free kicks on the team. He scored a really sick free kick the other day, and his service on dead balls has been really good. So I don't think it's a bad spot for a Danny Leyva spot start. Although, you know, if Obed's a young guy, so he can probably play again if you need him to. But I'm just thinking of like logical opportunities to get guys some run. But John Bell what's going on with Nathan? Can Nathan play, or is he still
he
injured?
subbed in. He played like 10 minutes or something.
Oh,
a couple matches ago.
Okay. Yeah. So a Nathan, like John Bell kind of vibe on the back line.
Yeah.
I think you start Alex here at right back.
Do you play Nuhu as well? I feel like you play
and
Nuhu.
then you probably play Nuhu. Yeah. That's I don't know. Is there anything there that you agree or disagree with?
I don't know. Maybe slide a little Dylan Tevez in there. Who knows?
They could.
He had a goal. He had a goal last night. Last night, yeah. So he might be. I guess that's pretty quick turnaround as well for the Defiance boys. But I honestly feel like Moose will start. But that's just me. I think it'd be sick to see Raul play.
I think you could justify a Moose start, but with Raul not starting the league games.
Yeah,
I think you run him here. You give him a chance to find some form a little bit, get on the score sheet, and because like you, like I said, you're at the point in this tournament where if you win this game, you're like you're one game away from a final, right? So
yeah,
like you got to get this dub, and I think if you approach it with the notion that Jordan could use some rest here, I think. I would like to see Raul start this game. I would.
Yeah. Do it. Brian.
Before we get into the around the league stuff, I did want to mention that my boys, my favorite team, New Mexico United, my hometown club, we play LAFC in the Open Cup on Wednesday, I believe. And I just wanted to point out, LAFC hella rotated their lineup for their game this weekend. And I see no other conclusion to draw from that than that they are scared of New Mexico United, which I would be too. New Mexico United is in first place in the USL Western Conference. We're one of the best teams in the league this year. And, you know, I honestly can't say I have much of an expectation that we're going to beat LAFC. We're going on the road to BMO Stadium. And just the notion of my little USL squad going up against like Bawanga and all, it's a little scary. But you know, if New Mexico United wins that game, I will shotgun a White Claw live on the podcast.
Heck yeah!
All right, let's get into this around the league stuff. Before we do winners and losers, gonna hit a few quick headlines. El Tráfico happened during the midweek, which I don't really have too many in-depth takes on it because it wasn't that great in El Tráfico, but LAFC won it 2-1. And so I think my takeaway was that, honestly, I think the LA teams are pretty even. They're a lot more even than I thought going into the year. It was a hard-fought, competitive game. But I just think LAFC still has the edge on the Galaxy because the Galaxy, some of the goals they concede, it's just they can't quite help themselves from being the Galaxy, They've gotten a lot better. They're one of the best teams in the league right now. They definitely have one of the best offenses, but a man can't change what he is.
It's true.
And the LA Galaxy love to concede really bad, ill-timed goals, and they have just not quite bucked that reputation. Nashville SC have hired BJ Callahan as their new head coach, U.S. men's national team assistant, so BJ Callahan, remember when there was that period where Berhalter's contract was up and they didn't have a new coach yet, and so BJ Callahan was like the interim coach, and then he coached the team during Nations League. We won Nations League, looked honestly incredible, and everyone was like, BJ Callahan, it's BJ Callahan.
Yeah.
Even though
he's the one.
He's him. Even though he's been an assistant under the guy that we hate and is ostensibly just affiliated and connected to the guy that we hate, we love him and think he would be the best coach.
Yeah, he was like a sleeper cell
of all time. Yeah, exactly. So I always thought that was kind of funny, but he's now Nashville SC's head coach. So we'll see how he does. I mean, to be fair, I think he did do some decent stuff during his interim stint with the U.S. It's just kind of hard to know how much to read into that, but they've made their hire. Also, I wanted to point out, we did our whole USMNT show. I don't think we're going to do all that much with the Copa, but I do think it's funny. Canada is absolutely balling out at the Copa. They have made it to the semifinals. The vibes under Jesse Marsh are incredible. They're better than us at soccer.
Easily.
It's
sadly.
I mean, so they got first in the octagonal in last World Cup qualifying. I thought looked better than us throughout all of World Cup qualifying. They totally flopped at the World Cup, whereas we had a little bit better of a run at the World Cup than they did. So I think it kind of got, their superiority to us as a footballing nation kind of got overshadowed by how badly they flopped at the Cup. But I mean, just the fact that they, first of all, that they hired Jesse Marsh, who a lot of people thought that the U.S. should have hired. And then now that, and then we crashed out of the Copa in embarrassing fashion because we have a fraudulent team. And now they're in the semis of the Copa. They're playing Argentina. They're probably not going to win that.
What do you mean Jacob Schaffelberg is going to bring them home
it's
the Copa,
already
brother?
A successful start to the Jesse Marsh era for them. Their vibes are just so much better. Their strikers are so much better. Their team chemistry are so much better. They have 14 MLS players on their Copa roster. So, I mean, you already know that their team is better
easily.
Than our fraudulent, Euro squad,
Yeah.
Anyway,
Euro fraud.
Yeah, we're a Euro fraud squad. Canada's got it figured out, man. A superior footballing nation to the United States, unfortunately.
Maxime Crépeau, Jacob Schaffelberg, bring home an MLS victory over MLS's Leo Messi.
It's going to be a good game. I'm watching the hell out of that game.
Yeah, I'm stoked for that one.
Let's do winners and losers and then get out of here. Does that sound good enough?
Let's do it.
All right. For winners from this, there's a lot. There's 2 match days. I mean, I think it's all match day 25, but a lot of teams played midweek and then some played again this weekend, and then so there's a lot of results to pick from here. But this is what I got. For winners, I got, FC Cincinnati. So FC Cincinnati was playing shorthanded Inter Miami, without all their guys in a kind of battle for the supporter shield type showdown. And, so Inter Miami didn't have their big guns, but they had won 4 straight games with their shorthanded squad before this game. Cincinnati boat raced them.
Oh, they murdered them.
6-1. They hung a 6 spot on him.
That's crazy.
That is messed up. Like for even for a shorthanded Inter Miami to give up a 6 spot, even on the road. FC Cincinnati just seems like they have this gear this year that I feel like they didn't really have consistently last year. Last year, they won the Shield, but their reputation was very much like a grinded out 1-goal win type of team. Tons of 1-0s, 2-1 type of games. They didn't have these games where they dropped 4, 5, 6 goals. They've done that a few times this year. And Lucho, I mean, you know, we obviously, as a Seattle show, we've been talking a lot about Albert Rusnak. Lucho is like he's that level of hot right now, and that's just his normal state of being. Like the numbers he puts up, the goals that his first goal in this game, I think he actually only scored 1. His goal in this game, just the footwork and the way he just eliminated entirely 3 defenders.
Yeah.
3. And he does that all the time. Like he'll dribble through like 3, 4, 5, 6 guys. Like when he's on the ball, you cannot get it off of him, and then he's clinical with it, with his shooting. So I think he's probably with Messi excluded from all these discussions and points of comparison, when I make these comparisons, like he's probably the most dynamic player in the league right now. You know, you got your Mukhtars, you got your guys. But
I think he's better than Messi right now.
Well, I mean, it's tough just because Messi's been gone for a while, so Lucho's numbers, like at least his assist numbers, are a little better. I mean, Messi had 25 goal contributions in like 13 games.
I guess that's fair. All right. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but
and he's been gone.
Yeah.
So, but like Lucho, out of the non-Messi guys, Lucho I think is the best and my favorite to watch.
Yeah.
And he was on one in this game. Just he gets in those zones, man, where it's like a snowball rolling down a hill. Like you can't stop him.
He is so good. I think he genuinely might go down as one of the best MLS players of all time, because he played at DC and he didn't put up as good of numbers.
He was good on DC,
but
though.
In 137 games he had 25 goals. In 135 with Cincy, he has 50 goals.
Yeah, and
that's insane.
And like, what are his assist numbers? Like, that's what. Yeah, he's
at 15, or I guess MLS stats are different with the second assist. But I mean, he's genuinely so fun to watch.
Yeah, he's nasty with it. Absolutely nasty. Real Salt Lake are still absolutely cooking. They beat the Dynamo 3-2 midweek, and then 5-2 over Atlanta United, who are down horrifically bad right now, obviously. Fired their coach, sold Giacomakis, sold Thiago Almada.
And they're selling their other guy, too.
They're selling everybody. Garth is blowing it up. But Real Salt Lake, they definitely, I mean, we've talked about them a fair amount in recent weeks, but they also really have just that kind of buzzsaw type gear. They are, especially like with Arango producing for them the way he has been, they've gotten their credit, I would say, over the last month or so as one of the best teams in the league this year. And they've gotten to that level of team where, like when they go into a game against a team that's outmanned and overmatched like Atlanta was in this game, like you already know what's coming. You already know. Like they're probably going to hang 3 to 5 goals on you, and it's not going to be pretty. So Real Salt Lake, arguably the best team in the West. You know, the LA teams will have their say about that, but RSL is up there. My last winner, I got the Colorado Rapids. They slammed St. Louis City SC 4-1, who St. Louis just fired their coach. But the Rapids are a top 4 team in the West right now. So that's just
crazy to think about.
Yeah, it's funny how fast things can change in MLS, because the Rapids were dead last in the West last year, I believe, and hire a new coach, make some good roster moves. Georgi Mihailovic is a name that I didn't bring up when I was talking about the other red hot number 10s in the league to go along with Rusnak. But he's been arguably the biggest reason, I think, behind the Rapids turnaround. And they're getting like Kevin Cabral is scoring goals sometimes. That's how you know.
Crazy.
That's how you know you're cooking.
Yeah.
When Kevin Cabral is actually like consistently contributing to the success of your team. Losers, Noah. The Philly Union, man.
Oh no.
Every week, I think they can't top themselves. Every week, I think that they have, like, there's no way that they could have a more ridiculous comedic defeat than the one that they had the previous week. And they outdid themselves again. They pulled a Chicago Fire against the Chicago Fire. The Philly Union were playing at the Chicago Fire midweek. And they were ahead. They were ahead like 3-1. They were ahead 3-1.
That's crazy.
And they lost 4-3. That's what happens to the Chicago Fire. The Chicago Fire don't do that to other teams.
No.
Like, how do you let the Chicago Fire do that to you? That's crazy. And it was also another game where the Chicago Fire took the lead and blew the lead, and then the Union had a 2-goal lead.
You can't have two Chicago Fire games in one game. That's just unacceptable.
So Tom Bogues also reported that Jim C is like not on the hot seat at all. Like,
that's crazy.
They're sticking with him. I mean, it's just getting to a point where like every single week, like you're losing in these crazy fashions. They gave up goals in the 82nd, 89th, and 92nd minute.
Jesus.
To lose this game after being up 3-1.
That's crazy. And you know what's even wilder is that there were, again, sell the team chants at this last weekend match. They even had a banner, like a sell the team banner, and the head of season tickets I don't know, one of the the head of ticket sales came over and was fighting with the supporters section fans and like ripped the banner away and walked off.
Yeah, I saw that video.
It's getting hot.
And then they after they pulled the Chicago Fire against the Chicago Fire, they played the Red Bulls at home this weekend and drew 0-0, which so they can't get a home dub to save their lives. They're just down so bad, and it's kind of like I don't understand it. Like their roster is pretty much they sold Carranza, but like it was pretty much the same roster that it was last year, and like a lot of the same guys from the last like few years where they've been one of the best teams. And they still have all their really good homegrowns. So I don't know. I think we talked about a few weeks ago how their money balling might have been like finally caught up with them. But it's not the results as much as it is the nature of their results, where like they just find just new and impressive ways to draw points every single week. DC United lost 5-0 at Orlando City, and they're last in the East right now, which they're cooked, and it's an unfortunate turn of events for my boy Troy Lesane, because I do think he is a good coach, but I think their roster to me, it feels like it's like Benteke or bust.
Yep. 100%.
That's basically
dude has 14 goals. I mean, the only
he was balling. He was the hottest number 9 in the league for a pretty long stretch of the early part of the season. He was scoring hat tricks. He was Air Benteke, like he was scoring headed goals like every 5 minutes. You know, I feel bad for him because he's been laying it all on the line for that squad this year, scoring a bunch of goals, really. In great form, and he's just not getting any support. And Orlando City's not having a great year, so it's one thing to lose to them when you're on the road, but to give up a 5 spot, that's not good.
Troy was saying, is he on the hot seat?
I mean, I really don't want him to be, because I want him to have success in MLS because of what he did for New Mexico United. But I don't know, but I don't think there's much that he could be doing
The
differently.
roster construction is pretty bad.
It doesn't seem that good. My last loser, Minnesota United. So they lost 2-1 to the Galaxy, which that's not the most shocking result. The Galaxy are really, really good. But I was just looking at the table, and Minnesota United have fallen way off.
Yeah.
They were up in the top 4 or 5 spots for a lot of the early part of the season. They're all the way down to 10th. They're 8-9-5, -2 goal differential, 1.32 points per game. Yeah, below the playoff line right now. I was high on their new head coach, Eric Ramsey. They were getting a lot of contributions from kind of unsung players that were helping keep them afloat earlier in the season. It seems like reality has come for the Loons, and I think this will be interesting because Eric Ramsey seemed like a really good, with it, impressive young up and coming coach when they first hired him. This is going to be a test of his mettle a little bit. He's going to have to figure out how to get them out of this. So Timo Pukki finally he scored in this Galaxy game, but he hasn't been producing for them. And then Emmanuel Reynoso famously is no longer on the team.
He's missing.
No one knows where he is, but he's not with an MLS club right now.
Yeah.
So we're going to see what Eric Ramsey has got and whether he can get them back up the table.
Well, good news for the Sounders because they play Minnesota twice in rapid succession on July 26th for Leagues Cup opener, and then their return to MLS will be against Minnesota United again. So pretty funny.
Okay, well, yeah, we'll see how that goes. All right, I think we're going to call it right there for episode 49. Might have been a little bit of a long one today, but we had a lot to get to.
We did.
Thank you, as always, to everyone for tuning in. We really appreciate the increased listenership that we've seen in recent weeks. All our new listeners, we appreciate you guys. Our paid subs, we love and appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for the support and getting to this show to where it's at. Comment, rate, subscribe,
share with Diego Luna,
share with Pablo Mastrioni, Caleb Porter, sub to the YouTube, sub to the Instagram, TikTok, all social medias. Thank you for listening. We love you guys. Until next time, we out.
Peace.